Grant Cardone here. Have you ever wondered how people buy this? Like my whole life, I have been just super intrigued by the wealthy, the people that buy the jet, that live the life. Like, I used to watch these homes on the ocean. I'm like, who owns that home? Who owns that jet? How did they do it? How did they buy it? And I created a training. I spent 35 years codifying what it takes to go from nothing, where I started. I remember when I could not afford one night, not one night in a hotel. Not even this nice, and it changed in a second, and it can for you too. Literally, look, just take a look here. Having the girl, okay? The hot chick, great wife,
thank you.
Beautiful kids, even a cowgirl, okay?
The cat sat in my hat.
I got 2 kittens on board. We're traveling across the country. The family's gonna go out for a little vacay. I'm gonna be doing some work while I'm out there, but while I'm out there, I wanna help you get what you want. It might not be a jet, maybe it's not a yacht, I don't know, whatever it is. You deserve to have that. And I have laid out a training step by step, so simple. Regardless of where you are right now, you're in debt, you don't have any money, maybe you don't even have a job. Click the link below. I'm going to give you this training for free. I wish somebody would have done this for me. I simplify wealth. I simplify how to get money, what to do with it once you get it, and how to multiply it. The most important lesson, how do you multiply it so that someone else, maybe you were serving, someone else you were working for, that money that you received, you learn how to multiply it so that money works harder than you do. And who knows, maybe you don't get the jet, maybe you don't get the girl, okay? Maybe you don't even want the kids. Maybe you don't want the kids or the kittens, but you get to choose, okay? Click the link below. I want to give you this free training. It's absolutely free. Best part, it's free. Second best part, it will show you step by step what you have to do to get the life you deserve.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Jared Glant, and we are back for another episode of Young Hustlers right here on the Cardone Zone, where each and every week on Thursday, I come in and I try to give you a little bit of what I've learned working next to Grant for the last 10 years. And I was talking to one of our guys last night, and I was like, we're going to look back and go, man, we had the opportunity to work so close with this guy who's doing so much and who came from so little and is like the true definition of a comeback story. And it's been pretty remarkable to be a part of it. And so every week when I come on this show, I just want to try to share with you some things that I see and share some of the biggest lessons and the biggest takeaways that I've gotten. It's not real probably for most of you to come and spend as much time as I have with Grant. And so my hope is that I'm just able to bring you some of the insights, the rules, the behind-the-scenes things that I see happening, so that I can kind of share with you the lessons from behind the curtain with Grant. And so this show today is about something that is super, super important. And I titled the show, "The One Thing That's Holding You Back," because I think a lot of people, when they're trying to figure out what they want to do or how to do something bigger or how to get to the next thing, like they actually have the wrong reason why something is holding them back. And it wasn't until I really figured this out, and I learned it from Grant. It wasn't until I really figured this out that it made so much sense. And I feel like so oftentimes people are constantly looking for the reason why things aren't going the way that they are. And they actually look externally for them. And this is a huge error, and will put you in a position where you will constantly, this show's about freedom, or the freedom theme is running because 4th of July is coming up. And the truth is that if you can't accept responsibility for and really accept control of the things that you want and actually be the person to blame. Like, I'm constantly looking for reasons to blame myself for not getting what I want. I'm trying to take responsibility for everything that's happening around me that could or could not be preventing me from getting where I want to go. And if you can't accept responsibility for things that are happening in your life, you will truly be a slave to yourself your entire life, or to other people. You're going to be a slave to excuses. You're going to be a slave to the economy, your boss, your family, your childhood, your upbringing, your bank account. Like, you eventually at some point, you have to look inside and go, okay, what am I doing wrong? What am I missing? What do I not have? What do I need to change? What do I need to do differently? And if you can always approach things from that perspective, you get put into a position of control. Because you can never, I want to have more control in my life. Would you? It's kind of a silly question. Of course you would. Most people are not in control of their life because they refuse to accept responsibility for the things that are happening. And I remember early on with Grant, I learned this lesson. And today I'm talking about the one thing that's holding you back. This isn't it, but this is a component of it. And I remember Grant in one of his training videos, because that's what I used to get trained on back in the day, because I didn't really get to see Grant that often in the beginning. And he said, hey, if you go outside and you get in a car wreck, somebody rear ends you. That wreck is your responsibility. And I was like, what? But they ran into the back of me. He's like, dude, you caused that event to happen. And I'm like, no, I didn't. How could I possibly cause that event to happen? Somebody else rear ends me. And he's like, well, could you have left earlier? Could you have left later? Could you have driven slower? Could you have driven faster? Could you have changed lanes a minute ago? Could you have done this? Could you have done that? Could you have done all these things, and would the outcome have been different? I'm like, man, well, yeah, of course it would have. But that's insane to think like that. And it was insane until I really understood what the point was. Instead of being in a position where I was constantly looking for the thing to blame, where I was actually the effect of something that was happening rather than the cause of making it happen. And it was a little tiny lesson that changed the way I looked at everything forever. Because now, if something goes wrong, it's not, oh, well, this happened or that happened, and so we can kind of justify or make sense of the outcome of it. It was, what did I do to cause that? And if you can get in a position of cause in your life, that is when you will truly have control. And you'll have a better chance of getting the things that you want, and you'll be more confident, you'll be more happy, because you won't feel like, dude, constantly things are happening to me. And so back to today's topic, a little tangent there. The one thing that's holding you back. If I asked you to, let's just do an exercise, okay? So hopefully you're sitting down and you have a pad of paper in front of you. If you don't and you're listening to this somewhere else, then make a mental note. I want you to write down 3 or 4 things, the biggest things right now in front of you that are holding you back. What are the 3 or 4 biggest things right now that you feel like are holding you back? And I'll just give you a minute to go through this here. What are the 3 or 4 biggest things that are holding you back right now from getting where you want to go, getting the promotion you want, getting the job you want? What is the thing holding you back? And let me see if I can pull this up here. Whoa, they changed all this around. So hopefully you've got your list of things written down. From getting where you want to go, getting the promotion. Double time, double up. Too much, Jared. 2 callers? Okay, yeah, we'll get to them in a minute. So, what are the things that are holding you back right now? And just go through that list yourself. If you're on Facebook, put them in the comments. What are the things that are holding you back right now? Because I learned a very, very important lesson working for Grant. Because he asked me the same question about why I wasn't getting more deals. He was asking me, where do you want to be with your income? And then why aren't you there? I said, because I'm not getting deals, because the customers are too hard to get a hold of, because of this, because of that. Like I started coming up with all these things that were holding me back from getting the thing that I wanted. And then he said something that was a game changer for me. He told me, he said, the only thing that will ever hold you back in life is you. And I said, well, what do you mean? That sounds like something that you put on a motivational poster with some footsteps on the beach. Like that sounds like, you know, maybe an eagle or a sunrise or something like that. Like it sounds good, but what do you mean by that? And he goes, you will always be the thing holding you back because of one thing. Because you refuse to give things up. And I thought about it, and it didn't really make a whole lot of sense at first. And then I started like marinating in it, and it was like, wow. And so I remember like a week later, I came back to him, I was like, okay, so let's talk about this a little bit. So we ended up going through, he's like, dude, your refusal to give things up is the reason why you're not getting more of what you want. Something, in order for you to add something, you have to give something up. And constantly we're looking for more of things. We're looking for more time with our family. We're looking for more income. We're looking for more happiness. We're looking for more health. We're looking for more of something. But there's always a trade-off. And if you're not prepared, going in knowing you will have to give something up to get that next thing. And if you're spiritual, you're probably like I could be talking to you about balance and crystals, and I could be talking about some weird stuff in yin and yang or whatever. But like the reality is like when you want to add something, you've got to give something up. If I want to be healthier, dude, I got to give something up. What do I got to give up? I got to give up time to go to the gym. I got to give up bad food that I'm eating. If I want to make more money, what do I need to give up? I probably need to give up some time again to learn more about what I'm doing in order to get the more income that I'll get, because the skills that I learn translate into more knowledge. So like as you're looking at like, dude, what is out for you right now? Like what is out for you? I promise you, there is something that you have refused to give up. This could be friends. This could be free time. This could be money. This could be video games. This could be travel. This could be recreation. This could be a lot of things. But you have to get in a position where you're looking at your situation, you do an audit, and you go like, what can I afford to give up right now? Like forget about going and grabbing the next thing. What can you give up right now today that really doesn't add a whole lot of value to what you do? It could be insignificant. It could be small. But watch how difficult it is to take these small things out of your life. Like take coffee out of your life. Take that little piece of chocolate out of your life that you have after you have dinner every night. Like just try to remove something. Simplicity is typically always the thing that's the most difficult to pull off. People complicate things. It's really easy to complicate things. It's really hard to simplify them and then do those things at a high level. And so I want to challenge you to take an audit of your life right now and think of the things that you're doing right now. Maybe social media, time on social media is a thing that you need to give up. You know, I'm guessing because of the audience and most of the folks that I talk to on this show here. And thank you guys for a lot of these comments here. Kim, Elena, Kapil, Colton, Doug, JD, Christine, Alfred, Walex, Matt. Thank you guys for being here, and thanks for your comments. Like you've got to be willing to give something up. So what is that? What's the hard thing for you? If you can go and take an audit of the things that you're doing that do not contribute to getting you past where you're going, or past where you want to be, past where you're at right now. If you can't take an audit and identify things that are holding you back, then you probably need to have somebody else take a look for you. And I would start this by doing an inventory of your day. Like I carry these little journals around all the time. Like I write down everything. Like I write down notes. I'm on phone calls. I jot notes. Sometimes it's messier than others. But I'm constantly writing stuff down. get a journal like this, get a notebook like this, and like write down what you do in a day. Every time you do something, you get up to go to the bathroom, write it down. I took a leak 3 times today. Like, I ate a snack. I was on social media for 10 minutes. I went to go do a post, but then I got distracted because I saw a girl that was on a roof slip and fall and bust her ass trying to jump into the pool. And then after I watched that video, I tried to skip back, but then there was this kid who was running in the backyard, and his dad kicked a ball and hit the kid in the head, and the kid fell down. And you get caught up watching these stupid videos. And then next thing you know, you're like, oh, dude, that was 10 minutes of my life right there. So take an audit of the things that you have going on in your life and start looking to remove things. Let's say you remove happy hour, right? Right now, COVID's removed happy hour for most people. So let's say you remove happy hour. You're like, dude, well, now I got another 2 hours in my week. What are you going to put in? Now that something has been removed, you've created an opportunity to add something. And the discipline that you exercise in pulling things out that are non-productive and then adding things back in that will get you where you want to go, the discipline that you are willing or able to do that in will determine how successful you are. And when you look at a guy like Grant, what he's done is he's put himself in a position for 25 years. He didn't drink, he didn't spend money, he didn't do this, he didn't do that. He was working like literally no recreation time, went completely all in on business, and today he owns, almost $2 billion in real estate. If I said, do you want to be in Grant's position having that much real estate? Now he has the ability to have a lot more freedom because he makes so much freaking money. He could do whatever he wanted to do for the rest of his life and never worry about money. Neither would his kids or his kids' kids or his kids' kids' kids. There's enough wealth that is like completely generational, and something would have to somebody would really have to be an idiot to screw that up. So would you like to be in that situation? And of course, everybody goes, yeah, that's what I want. Until you figure out what had to happen in the 35 years before that for him to get that. And this is where people start falling off. They're like, well, Grant, when he was building his seminar business, went out on the road for 15 months straight without coming home, going from city to city to city to city, staying in hotels, cold calling business owners, trying to sell them sales training, trying to sell them workshop tickets, seminars, etc. Would you be willing to do that? Well, that sounds like a pretty big commitment. I don't know about that. Why? Because you're afraid to give something up. You're afraid to give up your comfort. You're afraid to give up your time. You're afraid to give up, maybe it puts you in a position where you lose confidence because you're maybe not great at it. You have to be willing to give something up to get more. I had to give up income, guaranteed income. I had to give up guaranteed income in order to take a promotion in the company. I went from this type of pay plan to a different one, but I knew I'm all in. I'm going to be here for forever, and I know that the company's going to continue to grow. So I went backwards. Todd Straw, same thing. Went backwards. Guaranteed income, building income, increasing income every year, and then we go, hey, we got a management opportunity, but here's what it's going to require. It's going to require you go on a different comp plan than you're at right now. This is what it's going to be. And over the next 2 years, you're probably not going to make more money than you were making before. But what happens after that is it really starts ratcheting up. And that's pending that we don't do something remarkable, incredible, that causes a massive spike, which we did ended up doing. And he got a big surprise when he got his check. So, what am I saying here? I'm saying you have to be willing to give stuff up. You got to clean the closet out. You got to be willing to throw stuff away. And it's like this accumulation of things gives people some security. It drives me crazy when we have food in our refrigerator that's like if it's beyond 2 days old and it's not something like ketchup or mustard, I've got to get rid of it. I've got to throw it away because it drives me crazy. And too often in times we have so much extra baggage laying around in our life that takes up time that could be used for more productive purposes. You got a question, call the show, 305-865-8668. You got to remind me to do that because I always forget to do that. 305-865-8668. We got some callers on the line here. Juan says, hey, you're making a good point. Simple is hard to understand and accomplish. Once you do, the road to success is more clear. Add value to yourself and success will follow. Appreciate that comment. Also, who else do we have here? Dylan Rucker, why are these no longer showing up on Apple Podcasts? Dylan, they are on Apple Podcasts, but they're under the Cardone Zone. So we consolidated all of our podcasts into one channel. So if you just download the Cardone Zone podcast, you'll get every show that Grant does in that one channel. Let's go to a caller.
Okay, you got William from South Carolina.
William.
Jared Glenn, what's up, brother?
What's going on, man? How are you?
Man, everything's good. So listen, I love what you're talking about. And so in philosophy, it's called Occam's razor. It's that you simplify things to necessity, right? It's that you don't want anything that's not usable in it because it'll slow it down. So I love what you're talking about, taking out what's holding you back. Now, I thought about this, and I thought, man, this is going to be perfect for me to ask Jared Glenn a question because I have a book that's coming out I've been developing about golf and business. And first of all, you're a golfer, so that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
But second of all, you and Grant both made it into the book. So my question is, I'm going to be making cold calls, right? I'm working on my cold calling script. Mm-hmm. And basically, I'm wondering what to leave in and take out because you probably know this as well as I do. When you have ideas, you're like, well, which one do I take out? So my question is, I'm not actually going to be selling to the person I'm calling. So I just want them to be able to sit my book on their counter at the golf course. So then my question is, whenever I used to do a lot of sales over the phone, I would say things like, hey, listen, I'm not going to try and sell you anything on this call. So I'm wondering, should that be part of my pitch that, hey, listen, in this call, I'm not going to be trying to sell you anything?
I think it's one of those things that, like, well, why are you calling?
Yeah, so I have that worked out. I'm just trying to figure out, like, is it even worth wasting your breath on something like, hey, listen, I'm not going to try and sell you anything so that they don't try and, like,
I wouldn't even go there. Like I would never tell my guys if our first call, yeah, but if the person, what ultimately are you trying to sell them?
So here's the deal. So let me just go through it with you.
That's all you needed to say right there, because ultimately you are trying to sell them something, and so like there's no problem with being very upfront and saying, look, my goal is to get you to become a client. Like we tell people that in our calls. Like my goal is to make you a client on this phone call today if I'm able, because I know what we can do for you. There's something about that direct communication that people respect. It doesn't sound like a sales pitch. It doesn't sound like you're trying to hide something or manipulate. It's just a very straightforward. And so if your first call is, hey, I want to get you a copy of my free book, and ultimately you're trying to do what? You're trying to sell them what?
So here's the deal. Let's say, hey, Jared, my name's William Phillips. I'm with Source Development, and the reason for the call today is because I'm trying to basically, all right, so what I want to do is get this into the shops. I don't want you to buy anything, right? So part of the deal is that you don't put anything down. The customer comes in and buys it, and you make an increment on units.
Okay, so... Oh, okay, I get it. So you're trying to sell your book to golfers.
Yeah, so here's the deal, Jared. I just want basically I don't need anything from you except for an approval to set this on your counter.
Yeah, I mean, like that's a pretty easy call,
There
Hey,
you
have
go.
you ever
Okay.
are you have you been looking for something that you could put into the pro shop that would add a ton of value to your golfers and at the same time make you a little bit of money? I just wrote a book.
Exactly.
I want to offer it to you on consignment. You don't have to pay anything for it. Don't cost you anything but a little bit of space in the pro shop in the corner by the golf balls. And every time you sell a book, you're going to earn X percentage of it. Is that something you'd be interested in?
Perfect.
Yeah. We're not interested right now. Blah blah blah. Yeah. Hey, I totally understand. I can appreciate that. Most people aren't. But what I've found is that golfers actually appreciate when the courses that they go play at have something that can contribute to them outside of just the golf course. Let me just send you a copy of the book. Would you, if I sent you a copy of the book, would you look at it? Let me come by and meet you. You know, what I would do, dude, is I would start going into pro shops in your area and building some success stories. Like get into the golf courses that you can go look at people in the eyes with. Go see the head pro, meet with them, get the book set up, get some pictures, get some testimonials from him. From customers that are using the reading the book, going through it, their impression, like all that stuff becomes things that you can add into your pitch.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, I appreciate that. I've got most of my script done. All I'm doing is trying to limit the things that are in it. I'm trying to get just my question basically was just how do you know what to limit? Is there a certain thing you look for, or if it's just not directly to the point, you take it out?
Dude, we're constantly working on scripts, dude. Like, we got it down to where it was a bunch of words, and then we got it all the way down to, hey, this is Jared from Grant Cardone's office. We just created a new program that's designed to increase your business by 30% in less than 90 days guaranteed. Want to get you free access? You in front of a computer right now? We got our script all the way back down to that. All we're actually trying to do in the script is get to a no. Like, we're trying to run into the objection, because that's actually when you can really pitch yourself and your product. Like the no is, it sounds so weird, but what you say before that almost doesn't matter that much. Because once the customer says no, and you move into handling that objection, that's when somebody actually gets sold on you. And so, like, there's a lot of things that they could put in a pro shop that's going to sell in higher volumes and probably make them more money. Would you agree with that?
I don't think so.
Well,
there may be like not a bigger margin.
How many boxes of golf balls are they going to sell in a 30-day period?
They may sell a lot more, but they probably will get a smaller margin off of them.
Well, yeah, but I mean, almost every golfer that goes in is going to buy a sleeve of balls or a box of balls or something, So they do, sure. And I don't know. I assume maybe, I don't know, they make 20% on that, But my thought is that you got to hit them from a different angle, other than just, hey, you can make money selling this book. Because then they're like, well, now I'm in the book business. Like, I don't get how I'm going from beer carts, golf tees, bags, balls, clubs, shoes, shirts. Dude, I know for sure that they charge $60 for shirts that cost them $30. So, because I grew up playing golf, so and I know what the margins on that stuff are. Sunglasses, dude, they pay $80 for a pair of Oakleys and they sell them for $200. So, my point is that once they say no, that gives you the opportunity to actually start pitching them, because most people aren't even paying attention to the words that you say in the beginning.
Yeah, I totally get that, and like I say, I'm going to be down in Destin next month, and I'm going to be at a resort, golf and beach resort. So I'm going to definitely pitch this while I'm down there to a few places. But the thing is I'm just going to rely on building value, because if you have gum in like a pack of gum in your shop and you make 10 cents for every pack you sell, you might sell a lot, right? But this is also going to have things like every course will have their own course maps included and things like that to directly tailor this to the courses. So I think it'll build a lot of value.
Yeah, but you gotta sell that story, like.
Sure.
And when you come in right off the top and you're trying to pitch me a book, I'm like, golf shop, book, I don't know if I see the fit. So you got to figure out like what that pitch is that swings them, that goes, oh wow, hey, that actually is a great idea. So what you say in the beginning probably isn't as important as what you say after they say no. And once you start making a bunch of calls, you'll figure this out, and your script is probably going to change a lot.
Sure, and I know that's it's trial and error. Like I've made over 100 phone calls for a long time and a day, and so I get it. It's going to change. But all right, Jared, man, appreciate you taking my call.
Appreciate you, bro.
And, I'll send you a copy whenever it.
Yeah, man,
comes
I'd
out,
love
for
to.
sure, in the
Send
book.
it down to the office here.
Next.
Yeah, next caller. Who?
Reggie?
Reggie?
Yeah.
Reggie, what's going on, man?
Jared Glenn, what's going on, brother? How you doing, man?
My man, good to have you on the show.
Absolutely, it's a pleasure. My first time calling in, actually.
Well, congratulations
Hey, just-
for that. Long-time
Thank
listener,
you, thank
first-time caller.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I just wanted to reach out to you and just ask you a quick question, man. I've been watching your show for so long, and I kind of saw you go from those small deals to those monster deals, and I just wanted to ask you, how did you scale to get to where you are today? Like, I feel like in my industry, I do insurance, and, we work with a lot of smaller accounts, and, over time, we do build up to those bigger accounts, but at what point did you start deviating your time to the more important things? I heard you mention earlier, you were talking about deviating your time and, sacrificing a couple of things to see the bigger picture.
Yeah, well, see, like, that's one of the things that you got to give up, like, once you build a book of business with individuals and you want to go after companies or things like that, in your business, an individual could probably make a decision in one visit.
Yeah.
If you want to go get a company to run all their policies through you, it's going to be a process. It's going to be time. It's going to be working somebody through a sales cycle and a pipeline and through different decision makers and multiple meetings. And, it's a longer deal. So what does that mean? That means you have to give up the deals that you're going to be getting, the little deals that you'd be getting in that same period of time in order to get that. You may also have to give up premium or gross or however you measure your profitability. Like maybe you have to give some of that up. I don't know. But the answer is once you build up enough to cover your nut, then you just got to go. You got to pick one deal and just go after that deal until it exhausts out, and then the next deal, and then the next deal. Like the guys that work for us here that have been with us for 5 years, they work referrals. They know how to take a single opportunity and find. Maybe it's a salesperson who buys a book that works at an Ashley furniture store, and then they call that salesperson, figure out who the manager is, end up pitching the manager. The manager signs up on the deal. We work with them for 3, 4, 5 months. We're crushing it with them. And then we take that success story, and then we go to Ashley Corporate, and we start tracking down the people in the corporate org who control those strings. I mean, we just did a deal with Ashley Corporate. I mean, dude, we've been working that for 5 years. So they just take longer, and so you have to give something up. Or what a lot of companies do is they'll take seasoned reps and they'll just put them on a different comp plan where they get enough of a base to cover expenses and all that, and then they just have a big bone on the big deals that they get. And so their job is to come in and go whale hunting. So volume is lower on those deals, but the scores are bigger. So the answer how to get started with anything is just start. Just move. Just pick a target,
Absolutely. I do appreciate that answer there because that's where I'm at now. We're hustling the smaller deals. We're keeping the volume up high by hitting the dials and all that stuff. But then I want to scale to the bigger picture. And, of course, there's not many of those bigger whale fish out there. And I find myself scaling down on the dials. And it's kind of like a give and take. I'm sacrificing more calls to talk to the bigger fish. But then at the same time, I kind of feel like I'm losing out a little bit by not scaling. Or I guess, in other words, I feel like I'm losing out on the smaller guys because I'm going after the bigger guys. But I guess when you win those bigger guys, that's when the big results come.
Yeah, so then it's personally you're only going to be able to do so much by yourself. So if you're the only producer, then you need to bring somebody else in, and then you need to train them up, and then you need to get them producing. And guess what? You're going to have to give up in order to make that happen. You're going to have to give up money so that you can hire them. You're going to have to give up a percentage of the deals that you're doing for them so that they can get going and they can get fed. And you're going to have to give up time to allow them to kind of mature into the role to where they become self-sufficient. And then at that point, you have the opportunity to go spend more time chasing bigger deals. But Brandon Dawson, who's the CEO of Cardone Ventures, he calls it the rule of three. If you're the sole producer, it's going to take 3 people to replace you. So you bring one person in and you train that person, you get him producing. Then you bring a second person in and then you train that person and you get him producing. And then you bring a third person in, you train them up and you get that person producing. And then the first person who comes in also helps train the last person that comes in so that they start cross-training and learning how to become a trainer. And hopefully they can then grow into another role in the organization. But only until you get 3 people that replace you in that role, you can't come out. Because, and this is a rule that applies to like entrepreneurs or business owners that are starting a business, or they're the sole producer of a business like you might be.
Gotcha. I do appreciate that so much, Jared. And congrats to you on all your success, man. I've been watching you for years, and man, you're killing it, man. You're a hustler.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it, man. Appreciate that.
Yep.
We
We good?
got Joe from Boston.
Joe from Boston.
How you doing, Jared?
Joe, what's up, bro?
I'm good. I'm actually in Boston, but I actually visited you back in December. I'm actually from England.
Oh,
Do you
nice.
remember?
Yeah, man, I remember that.
All right, cool. What I really want to ask you is, are you ever going to write a book? Because obviously we've got the stuff that Grant produces, right, from Grant Size. Are you ever going to write a book that teaches us about what your experience and what you've learned? Because obviously you might have some different views in a way. And are you ever going to think of writing a book that depicts that?
Yeah, well, I'll write a book as soon as I know that it's gonna add a ton of value. Because in order to write a book, I got to give up time. So like I said, like there's always this lever that you're pulling. So I want to write a book, dude. That means I got to sit down and write a book. That means I got to spend the time, invest the time writing the book. But it's a great idea. People ask me all the time. I've thought about it, but until it makes the most sense for me to give up the time needed to do it, then you got like literally 5 years worth of Young Hustlers episodes, maybe 7 years since Grant and I started doing this show together. When I started out and I was just a sales guy, like, I mean, when we first started this, we had just moved to Miami from LA. We had 3 employees and I was like a sales guy. And that's when we started. So like, if you go back all the way to the beginning of these shows on YouTube, that's where I was at. And at that point in time, I was probably making like $7,000 a month or $8,000 a month or something like that. And was just getting kind of everything rolling underneath. And now we have 108 employees. So 114 employees, I think now. So, that's where I would start. Dude. Start with the shows. That's probably what I'd make the book out of anyways.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I definitely watch the shows, and that's my reasoning behind it, because I always see you on Young Hustlers and other type of shows. And my depiction is, are you ever going to compile that? Because I think I would be one of your favorite readers on that. Because I
appreciate that.
Yeah,
I appreciate that, man. I'll give it some more thought for you. You've planted the seed in my head again.
Definitely. Please do. Anyway, take care. Stay safe.
All right, bro. Appreciate you.
One more.
Well, okay.
Nicholas from France.
Oh, wow. From France. Nicholas, what's going on, man?
Yes, hello, Jared. Nicholas here.
What's going on?
Yes, man. I just wanted to tell you a quick anecdote. So we spoke last year.
Okay.
I actually called the program, and you gave me really good advice. You told me in order to solve your problems, become really good at what you're doing right now. So at the time, I was cold calling, prospecting, and actually I followed your advice, and I'm really good now at prospecting, cold calling, bringing clients. And today my question is kind of the next step. Now I'm bringing clients of kind of all different sizes, but now we are getting kind of stopped at the last steps. We're not closing as much as we would like. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to. 1 year ago, it was bringing clients, and now is closing them. So I wanted to hear your advice.
Yeah. So in my mind, one of the first things that you should look at when your closing ratios are down or they're off is you have to go to the discovery step of the sales process. Because if you do a good job in the fact-finding step of the process or in the discovery phase of the deal, where you're really unpacking and uncovering all of the things that the customer is looking for in a solution. You're looking for, and I've done shows on this before, and it's like a deep topic, fact-finding. Fact-finding questions fall typically into two categories. They are, they identify needs. So you're identifying all of their needs, their current state, their current situation.
Yeah.
You know, what are they looking for? What problems are they having? Like, you're doing a full-on assessment of their current state. And then the second set of questions you ask are behavioral questions. How they make decisions, how they've made them in the past. Throw in some hard questions in there. You know, why now? Why are you looking at this now? I've been following up with you for a year. What changed? You know, last time we spoke, how come you didn't do the deal? You know, have you ever worked with a company like this before? You know, did you think that it was worth it? Did you think that it was valuable? What would you have changed about that relationship that you had with them? I believe that if you ask the right questions and you uncover the right information in the fact-finding step of the deal, you will uncover the real reason why people are trying to make a decision. And just like I said, there's one thing that's holding you back, and it's that you refuse to give up what you need to give up in order to get what you really want. There's typically one thing that a customer is going to close on. And so when you present a product or an offer or solution and you have 20 different pillars or features or things that do something of value. Like when you have like all of these different things. For example, like let's say you sell a software and you have a CRM.
That's the case. That's actually the case.
Yeah. So let's say you sell a CRM. Let's say you sell a CRM and you have automations, you do marketing, you do sales. But the thing that the customer wants more than anything is a CRM that integrates with their phone dialer. Or they want the ability to tie in a customer service feature into their CRM so that they can get their sales team and their customer service team working in the same platform. It's just an example. Our system is Cardone University. When we sell it to companies, they're looking for ongoing training. They're looking for how to close more deals. They're looking for how to get their people masters at prospecting. They're looking for, how to get more motivated. They're looking for something with accountability. They're looking for something for their managers to use for their team because they want to train internally, but their people don't have the skills. Like there's 1,000 things that they're looking for. But in the fact finding, we're trying to identify what is the one thing. And I would say...
So that one thing, you pull it out with those hard questions.
Yeah, because you got to keep digging. Like most people ask one question, they get an answer, and they move on. But nobody is going to tell you the real story the first time you ask the question. Like exactly. I watch Grant on deals, when he's negotiating deals, working deals, shopping for deals, finding deals, $100 million apartment buildings. And I listened to him ask the same question in the same call 2 or 3 times because he's trying to see if he can get more information. He's trying to dig down deeper into the true, what we call dominant buying motive. Like what is that thing, that one thing that is going to inspire somebody to push in to make a decision? And when you find that out, you own the deal. But only... Once you uncover that DBM inside your fact finding, you only will get the deal if you show the prospect the product in a way that demonstrates that it can solve the problem that you've uncovered. And then in the close, you continue to remind them about how your product solves the problem that you uncovered in the fact finding. And then you can attach pain, you can attach pleasure, you can attach monetary gain, you can quantify the impact of what the solution will bring to them. And your whole conversation doesn't get framed around the sales meetings, the training, the accountability, like all the things Cardone University would do, and I'm jumping back to our product here. Like when we're in the close, we're not talking about everything. We're talking about the one thing that when we were spent all that time figuring out what was important to the customer and how they were going to make the decision and why now and why hadn't they before, and when they brought a trainer in last time, was it worth it? How much did they invest in that? Like, when we uncover that thing, now we know we're set up to close the deal because we're going to push in on that thing. So
Perfect.
That I would tell you is a bigger contributor to we're not closing deals enough than we're not good closers. Because you can be a mediocre closer and uncover a problem and demonstrate the product in a way that communicates a solution, and the buyer will make the decision on their own. If you do everything that comes before that right. A lot of customers are going to need push. I'm not saying that it's going to be easy, but that one thing will make a dramatic difference in the amount of deals that you close, because you can't.
Excellent.
You can't nail a nail down with a screwdriver. Like, if you're trying to do the job with the wrong tool, it's not going to work. So I hope that helps. Go back and watch the Young Hustlers that I did a while back on fact finding, and I go down deep into this. It's magic. I think that's a game changer in the deal. Appreciate the call, dude. Thanks for calling in from France. All right, guys. So look, the one thing that's holding you back is you refuse to take things away that will allow you to go to that next level. For some of you, it may be you're not willing to invest the time to learn a new skill. For some of you, it may be you're not willing to invest the money to take the chance to buy the program or the training or whatever, or go to the event. For some of you, it's, I enjoy when I get home sitting on the couch and watching TV and hanging out with the family rather than doing an hour of that and then an hour of work. Like, you will always have to give something up to add something new to your life. And if you can get disciplined with giving things up and identifying that when you want something and you want to add something new, you've got to be willing to give something up. Once you figure that out, you're going to be in much more control over getting the things that you want, and you will be moving at light speed towards your goals. Really important, I want to let you guys know something. I'm a big believer in the power of money. I'm very money motivated, and in my own life, I've seen the power that income has in building wealth. I went from $2,500 a month. I'm a multimillionaire now, and it's because of income and investments. And nobody knows either of those two things better than Grant. And so I talked him into putting together a free training on how you can basically multiply your income. How did I go from $2,500 a month to 6 figures a month? I did it because I followed a process and I followed rules that he put in place, and I committed to doing those because I gave things up. And so I convinced him to do this training. We want to give it to you for free. If you go to 10xwebclass.com, you can get this free training on income. There's a PDF. Make sure you download the little workbook that you can fill out as you're going through the course. It's just about an hour, maybe a little bit longer. But I promise you it's gonna teach you a lot about really identifying what you want and then identifying the things that you need to do in order to start cranking that income up so that you can start making investments and start ringing in some of that passive income. So super important. I hope that you check it out, 10xwebclass.com. Thank you so much for being here this week. We'll be back here next week with another show, Thursday, noon East Coast Standard Time on Young Hustlers. And remember, the only people who condemn the hustle are the ones who've already given up on the hustle themselves.
Man, that thing is hot. Hey guys. Grant Cardone here. Have you ever wondered how people buy this? Like, my whole life, I have been just super intrigued by the wealthy. The people that buy the jet. That live the life. Like, I used to watch these homes on the ocean. I'm like, who owns that home? Who owns that jet? How did they do it? How did they buy it? And I created a training. I spent 35 years codifying what it takes to go from nothing, where I started. I remember when I could not afford not one night in a hotel. not even this nice, and it changed in a second, and it can for you too. Literally, look, just take a look here. Having the girl, okay? The hot chick, great wife,
Thank you.
beautiful kids, even a cowgirl, okay?
The cat sat in my hat.
I
which
got
means
2
he's a
kittens
cat
on
now.
board. We're traveling across the country. The family's gonna go out for a little vacay. I'm gonna be doing some work while I'm out there, but while I'm out there, I wanna help you get what you want. It might not be a jet, maybe it's not a yacht, I don't know, whatever it is. You deserve to have that. And I have laid out a training step by step, so simple. Regardless of where you are right now, you're in debt, you don't have any money, maybe you don't even have a job. Click the link below. I'm going to give you this training for free. I wish somebody would have done this for me. I simplify wealth. I simplify how to get money, what to do with it once you get it, and how to multiply it. The most important lesson, how do you multiply it so that someone else, maybe you were serving, someone else you were working for, that money that you receive, you learn how to multiply it so that money works harder than you do. And who knows, maybe you don't get the jet, maybe you don't get the girl, okay? Maybe you don't even want the kids. Maybe you don't want the kids or the kittens, but you get to choose, okay? Click the link below. I want to give you this free training. It's absolutely free. Best part, it's free. The second best part, it will show you step by step what you have to do to get the life you deserve.